What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. I want to talk to you today about a tactic I use with people. One of the things that comes up a lot is conversations around cars. And I could do just a whole series of videos on my discussions and some of the things that I talk about with people about cars. But right now, I'm kind of driven by this kind of I think somewhat temporary, but it might be 6 months, might be a year, might be 2 years. Shortage of cars. So there is a shortage of new cars, often attributed to the fact that they can't get the chips to kind of control cars. They can actually manufacture cars, but that is leading to a shortage in the used car market. And so it's actually very hard to find cars right now. If you're buying a car from the dealership, you will probably pay MSRP or maybe more. If you're trying to find a used car, they are probably as high as they've ever been. And so people are always looking at cars. It's probably a poor time to buy a car, in my opinion. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today is refreshing, not replacing. Right. And so one of the things that I end up talking to people about a lot is, hey, I've had my car for a long time. There are certain things that I need in my car or that I really want because I'm on the road a lot. I'd love to be able to have a Bluetooth connection to listen to my podcasts, or my car doesn't have hands-free calling, or, it doesn't have navigation or whatever it might be. Right. You can make a list of the things that people want. And the new cars have a lot of wonderful technology in them. It makes the cars much safer, right? Your car, depending on the age, might not have a backup camera or reverse sensors or any of these things. And basically, what I am here to tell you is that when I hear these questions, it's usually, hear these complaints and these concerns, it's usually a prelude to a justification to buy a new car, right? And buying a car is very expensive. And it's funny to me because in a lot of cases, someone is talking about a $500 problem, $1,000, maybe even a few $1,000 problem, but they're going to solve it with a $30,000 or $40,000 purchase, right? So to me, the calculus doesn't make a lot of sense when you're complaining about something. You're maybe missing $3,000 worth of options, right? And what you're looking at as the alternative is buying a brand new car for $40,000, right? And right now, it may be higher than that because of the premiums charged over MSRP. So basically, what I want to talk to you today about is a tactic that I call refresh, not replace. And it's actually something that you can go overboard on and still end up better off financially than replacing. So, for example, I have some cars, and one of my cars is pretty old. It doesn't have a backup camera. It doesn't have backup sensors, those types of things. It didn't have Bluetooth hands-free calling. It didn't have navigation and all these things. But over the years, what I've done to kind of stretch out the life of that car is actually install some of those things. So if you don't have Bluetooth or hands-free calling in a car, you can buy these little Bluetooth speakers that will clip onto your visor. That's a cheap way to go. Those are like $20. So if that's the complaint, you can certainly do that. I actually replaced the whole head unit with an aftermarket head unit. It's great. It's got GPS and navigation. It's got a big 8-inch touchscreen on it, satellite radio. It connects to my phone, all of those types of things. It's got Apple CarPlay. And again, you can go to Best Buy and have your head unit replaced. And now you may look at that and be like, man, that's really expensive. A motorized head unit or a touchscreen or whatever it might be $700-800, right? And another $100 for installation. But is not $800 or $900, $1,000 expenditure a lot cheaper than buying a $40,000 new car, right? And some of these, especially if it's a replace the head unit, will also have a wire with a camera that will go all the way to the back, so you can get a backup camera in your car if you want. So again, for $1,000, you might be able to solve some of these technology problems, refresh the car, get the features that you want, and it's a lot cheaper than the alternative. Now, I also will say, maybe you have some of these things, and you just don't have a backup camera. Well, there's at least a couple of companies out there that I know will make license plate frames that go over your license plate, so they look like a regular frame of license plate, but they have a camera built in, they have sensors built in, they have trajectory lines built in, right, distance lines built in. So some of those things, I think Pearl is one of them, and there's some other brands too. But you can just buy these things; they're like $150, and now you will have those backup sensors, right? Especially if you drive a larger SUV from a few years ago that doesn't have that. You might really benefit from having a camera out in the back, maybe a big pickup, maybe a big truck or whatever it is. But even a small car, maybe you just turn around, you're not as flexible anymore, and it's hard to see those types of things, right? You can add those types of things to a car for a couple $100, right? And it's a lot cheaper than the alternative. So what I want to say is that, those types of things can often give you the technology. That's something that I talk about. But even still, let's talk about the things that I don't even want from a safety perspective. Let's talk about the things that I just want from a desirability perspective, right? Some people are like, "Oh, I like the new cars; they're really nice." That interior. I've got an old cloth interior. Well, you can refresh your car. It's going to cost some money, but you can refresh your car and give it a nice, new smelling, luxurious interior, even for a lot less than buying a new car. So there's a couple ways to do this. One, there are a lot of auto upholsterers around. So what I'm thinking about is, I've bought cars, to be cheap that have a cloth interior, and that's just fine. And actually, in hot climates, cold climates, you might want cloth instead of leather because they don't absorb heat or cold kind of the same way that cloth does. But maybe you just want to refresh it. You want to feel like you're getting into something that is nice. It's your decompression chamber at the end of the day or whatever it is, right? So you just want something a little nicer. Well, you can do that by going to the auto upholsterer and having them reupholster your seats. You can actually order online, catskins.com or leatherseats.com will custom make you. You can actually pick the colors you want, the stitching pattern and all that, and order it and then take it to an upholsterer and they will install it or install it yourself. And what that will do is that will do a lot. It's kind of an easy way. It's kind of like a fresh coat of paint on a house. It just really will change the look of it. And again, now what is this going to cost? Well, a set of leather seat covers, and I'm not just talking about things that you drape over your current seats. What an upholsterer will do is if you order these things from Catskins, they will actually cut off your old upholstery off your seats. They'll save your cushions, your foam, and all that, and they will put on new leather. They will put back your airbags and all that stuff, and the leather will be perforated so that it'll break away if you have side airbags and all that stuff. So they will be an OEM type of fit, and they will install this so it will look like a factory fit. But then you'll have that new leather smell. You'll have new crisp leather in the car, so that it's not scuffed up and wrinkled and crinkled and with cracks from age and all those types of things. So it really is a really nice way to give the inside of your car a facelift. I don't know that it's called a facelift on its inside, but it can give you the feeling of a new car without having to buy a new car. And the seats, a set of these might be $700-800, might be $900, and to have them installed might be $400 or $500. And if you really go with something premium, they have some premium leathers and premium stitching patterns and piping, and you can certainly load this sucker up into anything pretty much that you want. But even at the top end, it might be a couple $1,000s. But again, you might say, well, why would I put a couple $1,000s into an old car? Because it might get you to where you want to be and might be $30,000 less, $38,000 less than buying a new car. And it might get you everything that you want. It might give you that feeling that you want. And so sometimes, I think we are humans and we are fallible creatures, and sometimes we just need our mind refreshed, right? We are not automatons and robots that can just say, hey, all I need is transportation from A to B. What sometimes we want to enjoy it. We want to feel like something's new. We want something different. We want a change of scenery, whatever it might be. And so this could be a way to do it. A lot of people might say that's a stupid expense to spend on a used car. That's a stupid waste of money because all it is a change of seats. Well, maybe someone wants that. And like I said, it might be able to give you everything that your mind wants, everything that you desire without having to replace the entire car and get a bunch of stuff that you don't really care about, new LED headlights or whatever. Things like that. And if you do want LED headlights, you can get the bulbs and usually replace them on your car, swap out the old halogen bulbs and give you that brighter white look. So there's a lot of things that you can do to upgrade your existing car and keep it fresh, keep it running well, but also create that car environment that you want, something that you enjoy getting into, and save yourself a ton of money, because just spending money does not necessarily mean it's an expenditure. It may be helping you avoid spending a lot of money on something else that you really don't want, or you're on the fence about, or you can't even afford. So, that's one of the things that I like about, talking to people with cars, because I think a lot of people will look at something and not realize that it's a small thing that they can add to their car, and they only see the alternative of replacing the car, going out and buying a brand new car. And certainly I don't think you have to do that. So if that helps, there are lots of ways to do it. Certainly be happy to talk about other tactics on it, but pretty much anything you want in a car can be added at a pretty affordable price. So hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.